Hello, good morning, good evening. Hope you're well. Thanks for listening. This is a medical cannabis show, and I respect the law, and I hope you do too. Today is an open topic, so I hope some viewers have brought some pretty cool questions, and we can start it soon. But until then, I don't have much to discuss. So if you're re-watching back this, fast forward maybe 2 to 5 minutes odd until you see some slides. That's my suggestion, unless you want to listen to the in-between talk on anything. But to get to the topic, which I'll rechange today's title to, that's how you get to that. But until that, I hope someone rocks up soon and we can have a cool show again. Yes, the mic's working, everything's good. What can I'll wait till 2 minutes and I'll think of something for 60 seconds. So you can look at the pretty pictures if you want. Just thinking of a topic, stuff to talk about until people rock up, like 420 Fred. Hello, 420 Fred. Hope you're well. Have you got anything to discuss, mate? Is there any heard about any weird myths of late that I can try and shed some light on and show some slides? There was one actually on cloning, but I've talked about that extensively. I saw it on YouTube. The topic was you don't get a genetic copy by cloning, that they'd found that out or something like that. And I just replied, yes, it's true. And that's from the genetic mosaic and hypothesis paper. That goes into detail. I talked about that heaps. So that's an example, I suppose. But I enjoy those types of things because I do a fair bit of plant soil science and microbiology studies at university, and they cover backgrounds of what these topics can go into. And before you know it, you've got a result or an answer. So it's pretty cool. Like this, I can't wait for the next. Hello, sunshine. Nice to see you. It's pretty cool, folk. There's 2 classes I'm doing, courses this semester, the second semester, and the advanced microbiology is one of them. There's another one, I can't remember the name offhand, but it's to do with how you can utilize microbes to manipulate temperature, air, water, all types of scenarios. And that's kind of what I'm delving into already by manipulating nutrients. And to know how to manipulate them even further, it's going to be great. But the last 2 shows I've talked about microbes, so I shouldn't get into that topic, but I'm looking forward to it. All right, well and truly after a couple of minutes. People, what can we discuss today? What have you heard of late that's a bit strange or cool, or any plant science or soil science, or any fun stuff like that? Maybe not related. Because I'm not going to talk about microbes again. So I just stopped myself. So I would have went on for a good duration there. And I didn't want to have a third show that's microbes. No, call it something else, can't you? All right, well, might be a short show even. Thank you for the few people with eyes on. Would be good if you could drop something in chat so I could sort of get on a tangent some way. Because at the moment, I don't know which way to go. Hello, Lene, how are you? do you have anything that can be discussed? Because I'm struggling, and it might be a short show. Yeah, which is all right, because I haven't had a short show in a while. They've actually been going quite long, hour and a half, some of them 2 hours. That's very rare. It's been happening. So I just enjoyed the topic. It's really cool. I don't know, nutrient cycling is what it's just a fascinating topic, and it can go, I don't know, to know now the microbes that produce those nutrients. That's pretty cool. Just to put them in their environments that they want, multiply them, and free fertilizer, biofertilizer. Actually, I'm not getting that way. That was last week. See, I'm all excited over microbes. A lot of cool things has been happening. I think it's going to head towards a bit of a early show by the look of it. So I don't know what to discuss. I'm sorry. With nothing prepared, it's hard for me to go on and talk about something. I'm not very good at talking about things. I've discussed it heaps in the shows previous, and I feel like I repeat myself, or I'm repeating things by saying stuff a second time. So unless I get a little bit of direction, it's very hard for me. Like now, I don't know what to talk about, but there's just stacks across the topic to talk about. And I said, sorry, my eyes are barely open at the moment. Oh well, thank you for trying. What about just normal plant? All right, I'll just go into plant science then. So I talked a bit about microbes, which is kind of soil science, which goes into that a little bit. Plant science. So what's cool down here? So what do you folks see that's interesting down here that you'd like me to elaborate on? All right, let's just click it and see what happens. What are we looking at? Plant nutrients. They're essential elements. I suppose I can just talk about that. Sunshine said, any advice on RO filters on over poison water, heavy chlorine and fluoride? Yes, thank you. All right, we'll stop here. We'll go to a water section. And why would you want? Oh, here's the question. I'll put the background up first. Any advice? The question. Hey, it's Green Bicycles. G'day, mate. How's it going? Did a Kindle business in your neck of the woods, Thailand. Kind of exciting. You did, because I didn't do anything in Thailand. I've been helping growers in Thailand. Not sure what you mean, mate. It's nice to see you, though. I was thinking about you the other day, actually, saying g'day again. So this is what's popped up. So any advice on RO filters? So this is what I'm going to go into it. Oh, right. I see what you're saying. Okay, cool. I hope it went well. You're welcome to elaborate, but I'll talk about this first on the RO filters, because it's blooming important, because you don't know if you don't know what you're putting in, you don't know what you're getting out. So by really knowing and understanding what goes in, you've got a fantastic understanding of what is going on and what can potentially come out of it, which is unlocking a genetic potential. Because like Sunshine Rainbow said, look at the heavy metals. They're bad. And there's all sorts of heavy metals that are even if you lived in an old house, for instance, it's got old iron and galvanized iron and those pipes that haven't gone into copper. So that breaks down, and lead pipes too. And lead will end up in trace elements in the water sometimes. And that's why they don't use that anymore. They use copper, because it doesn't break down quite like lead and all the other things do. So it's just an example. All right, let's get into it, show some slides. Hey, Shippy Recky. Got this question up that I should get rid of. There you go. And then I will, already sharing. Water. Flushing aquaporins, root pressure. Water in relation to plants? No, we'll just go through the water molecule, I suppose. I've done a fair bit on this. I've done quite a few different water courses, but it goes very depth into it. I'm not going to go quite that much into it. The root hair, okay, that's pretty cool, isn't it? Just shows a root hair and water molecules going in and out, okay. Oh, right, that's pretty cool. Shows inside the cells. Anyway, we're not going to touch that much into it. Oh, trichophily is the presence of trichomes or hairs on leaves or stems and plants. Isn't that amazing? That's pretty cool. This is, if you ever see waxy epidermis like that, there's a sign that your plant has been put under, what stress is it? I can't think of it now, so I'm not going to guess. Sunken stomata. That is also a sign of drought stress if it's sunken, because it's trying to retain moisture. I think the waxy cuticle is drought stress too, just from offhand. Leaf curling, hydrochary. Here we go, signs of water stress. Thick cuticle, shiny waxies, sunken stomata. Yeah, but you wanted to more so go into the filtration of it. So I'll speed it up a bit. Drought stress. Fresh water, yes. Why is fresh water important? Because other things can attach to the molecules that you don't want. Water having a slight negative charge can be a positive, have positive things attached around it. Yeah, for water at 25 Celsius, 25 Celsius is, say, 68 Fahrenheit. The heat of vaporization is 44 kilojoules. That's how much energy it makes. Right, I'll get onto it. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. No, come on, stay on topic. Water in the plant cell. That's the turgor pressure it's showing there inside of plant cell. So the reason why, actually, I'll stay on topic. Water plant types. Here's a little bit more of osmosis, because you're using reverse osmosis, which is the opposite of osmosis. So it's pushed through, and that's how it gets filtered. And that's why it's extremely, I know which one I can talk about. This is, yeah, in the cells. Yeah, this is pretty interesting. A 10 meter or 30-foot tree, vertical distance translates into 0.1 megapascals change in water potential. So water gets pushed all the way from the bottom right up to the top. Isn't that so interesting? Trigger pressure, no. Way it moves through a plant, 3 ways. We're getting off topic here. You want to filter it. Okay, I'm going to stop. Because I reckon I can go to a, I'm sure in organic farming, we covered a section on water filtration. And it can be in here. I can show the slides from that. Oh, man. Where is it? Compost. Organic crop. Oh, no, I just might just go through them. Lysometer. Oh, that's how to measure water in the field. But it's not what you want, though. You want filtration. All right, I'm just going to skim through until I recognise the filtration ones. really helped at all yet, have I? Sorry. Some rad microbes. Nutrient management, yeah, very good. How about watering plant? Oh, watering, micro irrigation engineering. Actually, I'm going to go to that course. They went right through it. Evapotranspiration, no crop requirements, loss of meter, irrigation scheduling, irrigation efficiency, irrigation use efficiency, irrigation water quality. There we go, lecture 29, 19. Fertigation, yes. And a really cool thing, one of the main things I got out of this whole course was the fertigation technique, where calcium carbonate and things like that really clog them up. So, yeah. Anyway, back to the topic. Lecture 17 with 1. Well, I'll skim through again. Soil terms, yes, field capacity. Anyway, I'll get to it. That's pretty cool. It's a psychrometer, measuring moisture. Water potential. All right, I'll go to the filtration. I hear you. So, no, filtering, he's asking for what techniques, how to recognize it, flow management. Irrigation efficiency is defined as the ratio between the amount of water used to meet a consumptive use requirement of the crop plus that necessary to maintain a favourable salt balance in the crop root zone to the total water volume diverted, stored or pumped. There's heaps. Look at all them. I'm not even going to bloom and read it all, just to be efficient in your water. What goes in, what goes out, and what gets evaporated, transpired, irrigation, pumped horsepower, pressurized irrigation, continuous water lifts. Isn't that amazing? Back in the day, they lifted water with a spiral. Before there was any type of, my studies are done in the third world country, so they teach you the old school techniques as well as the new way if you've got money. So yeah, if you haven't got any money, put this little hand crank wheel with a spiral on it, and look, all it does is cart water slowly up to the next pond. Isn't that rad? An Archimedeal screw, so cool, eh? And they even did it with swinging baskets as well, lining the bottom of the swinging basket and doing it that way. Some old school techniques. The Don way, by putting with a foot, seesaw on it, or the counter by lifting it like the other one. And then new school ways of getting into it, more mechanised when steels come about. But main components of the hydrant, no, come on, let's get into the, this is, I suppose, is it, but you want to know about reverse osmosis in specific. Oh no, irrigation water quality is mega important. Oh, this is it. This is what's taking start here. Oh yeah, there's another thing. Hello, guys. Thanks. Oh, yeah, good on you. Thanks, Green Bicycles. Sunshine says, I've seen you can get less wasteful filters that aren't as effective that still work well. Yeah, but they mightn't last as well. That's the thing. Depends what's inside of them and their properties, because they might be designed to break quicker. The reason why you might want to use them is to pull out all different types of problems. So if you get a ppm meter, they're quite cheap. You should always use one of those and know what your tap water is from your city water and your well water and stagnant water and all that sort of stuff. Really just get to know it. And what it changes, you'll find when it rains, things will change. So it's just good to, or they mightn't change because you might be on a stable system. So it's good to know those parameters, because you want your water to be in the deionized section is far out. It's 0 to 60, I think. And yeah, 0 to 50, and 50 to 100 spring. Because if you buy water from the shop, you take it home and test it with your little meter, you'll find that it's always about 97, 98. They filter it just enough to get it into the spring category. And then over that, it changes. Oh, actually, it doesn't change. I'll tell you. On the back of mine, it says it's says the deionized 0 to 50 or reverse osmosis water is the same because you're taking the elements out of it. Carbon filters or springs or aquifers is 50 to 100. Hard water is 200. Marginally accepted, 200 to 400. And above 500, the US EPA contaminants levels too high. Because being particles, you don't know what particles they are. They could be all calcium or magnesium. But more than likely, there's trace elements of bad things in there too, the higher it gets. So that's what the problem. And by stripping it all out, you've got a rad chance in a good start. Because, salinity is a problem. If you're starting with salts already in your water, you're putting that into your substrates, you're adding to a salinity issue. So by using deionized or reverse osmosis, you're helping to win over that battle. Water parameters. That's the TDS, the total dissolved solids thing I was talking about. That you times it by divide it by, was it 0.6, 0.7 or something to get EC. So it's the same thing, those two elements out of your meter. Water qualities. Okay, there's one I'd like to get but can't afford it. Water indicators, yes, salinity. This is pretty common. You'll see if your leaves, and I know one particular person who knows this very well. It's not a deficiency at all. I think people saying, look, it could be potassium on the outside, it's all burnt in. No, that's salinity from too high salts. It's suffocating in the substrate, meaning that there's too much in there where the roots can't do much at all. It goes out and it gets burnt. Oh, there's so many elements. It's too much going on here. And a lot of the times they're the ones you don't want, like sodium, Na, chlorine, boron. But a lot of the ones you don't want. Oh, here's that I was just talking about before, about the ppm levels that match with your EC levels. So on the left here is your low salinity, medium salinity, high salinity. Yeah, I could probably change these numbers a smidgen now. Oh no, very high, there it is, 3,200, good, okay. So if you go above, because some feeds are about, they can be up near 14, but 1,200 you can give it, no worries. So to have a runoff of about that, could be normal in flour, definitely not in veg though. But, filters, salinity guidelines. I'm going into much too density. Sodium, there's too much sodium in the soil. Similar thing happens. What else can talk about? I think soil salinity. I don't think you want to hear about this stuff, do you? Because it's how to fix your soils, ion toxicity. Anyway, back to this is why you should use filters, because all this stuff is around, and at different stages it can get into your irrigation systems. So I've seen you can get less wasteful filters that aren't as effective, that still work well. Sunshine rainbows. Oh yeah, like rocks and sand. You can put that together. But you want I suggest a 5-stage, I'll look at this, get this up for you. 5-stage RO system with is it a potassium? No, what's it called? Oh, far out. Permeate pump with PR. Oh, no. What's the little? You get an attachment onto it that it recycles the water. It makes it very efficient. Oh no. Okay, if you're listening in chat, can you please help me out with that one? Because I don't know. I'll just pull up some images so you know what I'm talking about here. Share screen. So these are the ones that I suggest. So if you're going to go and get filtration, do it well and get a 5-stage reverse osmosis system. You don't need the only reason you need this tank is if you've got low water pressure. So if you're on a off-grid or remote or something like that, you're not up to city water, that's where you need a tank, because you pump it up and it keeps pressure inside, which therefore pressures your lines so the water can get out. I've used these systems for many years. I swear on them. It's so cheap. They say replace the filters every 12 months. You replace the filters when they're needed to be replaced. So you get a DM50. It's a dual, there you go, dual ppm inline meter. There it is. Yep, the DM1. So you're going to get yourself a DM1, and it connects to your input and your output lines, and then you'll know when to replace your filters. This is nearly a must. They are brilliant. And then it's interesting because I've used them all around the world and wherever I've lived in that. And it's interesting to see what in to out is. Like you might have in coming in. There was one example, it was about 550 or 600 ppm at that spot on Vancouver Island. And I was there for 2 weeks. And that was enough time to clog up the meter. So the output was usually, say, 10 odd, 7. And it was like 15, 20, then it was 30 and stuff like that. It gets going higher. And so I know, well, my membranes are getting clogged. And a lot of the times too, it'll be, you got a 10 micron. They're usually up here because these are the deionized and the reverse osmosis ones. You got a 10 micron carbon and then a 5 micron carbon, and there's a 2 micron carbon to clean it at the end. But those ones are the most that go out. So once your ppm goes up, you replace those ones every probably, well, depends, a couple of years. Depends if you're filtering well water, which is already low. It might be every 5 years, or it could be at that spot on Vancouver Island where it's every 2 weeks. But yeah, you be the judge by getting your DM1 inline meter, and it's cheap. Sure, it's cheap enough to include to know what's going on. Otherwise, you're guessing. And by having that meter, it takes little button batteries at the back, unfortunately, but they last a while. They probably last because you've only got to turn it on when you're using it, when you want to look at it. Then you just turn it off again. I wouldn't leave it turned full time on the wall. So yeah, 5-stage, not 4 or 3 or 2, and go online. That looks like the one I bought. I've had those filters before. Let's have a look. Those ones. I've used those ones, whatever they are. But yeah, go for a 5-stage, and they're not 900. You'll be paying 150 delivered for a 5-stage with a tap connection like that. So specify where you want to connect it to. If you want, like there's a bathroom and there's a kitchen ones, different connections that you get it to. I've never worked for these, but I've just had a few of them. Probably bought nearly half a dozen of these kits in the past. I just know a bit about them now. But they're brilliant. Well and truly worth the money, and you very rarely have to change the filters. And you'd be expecting to pay 150 Australian, and then you got 50 odd bucks for this plus delivery. So you might be 200 to 250 for a top of the range setup. There you go. Stop sharing. I hope that helps, Sunshine. While we're on the chat of water, should I go on about water a bit? Importance of water. Let's go back to some of those slides before, until I'll see some more because it is, oh, it's already up to half an hour. Until any other questions come through, I'll just go on a bit about water. I've got my tablet open so I can see if any questions come up. Oh, here we go. It's causes of vermiculite. That's the calcium carbonate mixture. Any suspended sand, silt, clay, because yeah. It's the biggest thing with the irrigation is the emitters. So that's why having no emitters, you've solved this problem. But you still have got joints where it contains calcium carbonate, bicarbonates and stuff where they'll precipitate and they'll clog up. So elbows and things like that. There's a little breakdown of the list of the physical, chemical and the biological things that clog up the systems. So by having no emitters, or just by having drilled holes in your irrigation, you've eliminated a lot of these things. Well, not that, but slimes, it depends on how big the hole is. Insoluble fertilizers. Yes, I'm not going to go into it much. That's the thing that clogs it up. There's a really even extra cool, yeah, micro irrigation is fantastic. It's, if you can get it dialed in, it's really, really advantageous. Not quite a kit like that. Oh, this is pretty interesting. The moisture availability to crops. So you've got a wilting point, your permanent wilting point down here, then there's field capacity. So you want to learn when your cultivar is going to wilt, and from your substrates that you build, and from knowing the humidity and all that sort of thing. It might be too hot, which might dry out faster, fans, etc. But in general, from knowing your permanent wilting point and your field capacity, from these are 3 different methods of feeding it. So if you surface, just pour it on fast, it might drain in, and it'll last so long. Where sprinkler method, by putting aeration into it, it'll last a little bit differently, and by dripping it in, it lasts. You don't get as much moisture content into the substrate, but you're getting more to the roots. To cut a long story short on this slide, so yeah, subsurface drip irrigation is so beneficial. That's the winning thing, because there's little evaporation up top, but it's just hard to manage. Why is it hard to manage? It's hard to manage because it's always wet down there, so it's always going to be wet. So I've never played around with it. I'd probably do a little bit higher, because I'd find it, if you've always got wet areas that are permanently wet from the drip, that's creating wet spots, which it's, you know what happens in permanent or little oxygen where it's always wet. It's an anaerobic area which fungi love to develop, and the umycetes and bad things might thrive. So from surface drip irrigation, here is another one. This is the subsurface. So it shows the wetting patterns that scrim out. But I like the surface one, surface drip. Here it's top surface drip irrigation, just normal drip. So clay substrates, that's how it'll pan out. If it's loamy, it'll go in a bowl, and sandy, it goes too fast, so it drains down. So yeah, that's pretty cool, the wetting pattern. And yeah, that's what you want. And you can manipulate. Anyway, I can do all that sort of math rot. Computing irrigation water requirements. Yeah, just do that. You know what your crop needs. For drips, this is the go. So you can install different drip lines, your laterals, the long ones, and your submains. You can install different ones. So this has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This has got 4. This has got, well, 1 either side, so there's 6. This has got 2. So yeah, so I thought it was pretty inventive to still do 2 and have success where these people are doing all these clogging problems and that type of stuff. Yes, it's the system layout. Oh, these are some things. This of university, they put it through the 3D mold and made some stuff themselves, which is pretty. They were saying how rad they are. yeah, if you've got your drip line like that, there's a clogging point right there. But if this is open, just with holes put in it, it can drain out. There's less chance to go through another clogging point. Bubblers, different types. Fertigation versus fertilization. Well, fertilization is used with conventional plants get a larger dose of fertilizer than they require at the time it is applied. Fertigation is managed. Fertilizers are applied according to the needs of the nutrients following the crop uptake of the crop. So yeah, oh, there you go. Water source. Yeah, all these different water sources have all different ppms and media to go through it. So look at the filters. This might be getting into it. Look at this. So it depends where you get your water from is to the different types of media that you need to filter it. Sweet. This is really handy for this today's show. Oh, yep, Sunshine said many thanks. That's good. So yeah, this will help other people. Why fertigation? No, I'm not going to go into that. Well, it's precision, but it's hard though. This is pretty cool. The root density under drip irrigation and flood irrigation. So see, normal methods, they're bloody spider. It's on my keyboard. I can't whack the keyboard. It's staying on my keyboard, little tiny spider. That's it, come off. Get it? No. Sorry. It got away. I won't get it now. Yeah, see the difference with all the adventitious roots. So it's got its lateral primary roots and then it's lateral off, and then all these root hairs are going off. And that's because that's where its wetting pattern's going to, and it doesn't need to go any more further to get its requirements. Where the normal methods, it has to search heaps, and these roots have got to keep looking and looking and going and putting all the growth and development energy into, instead of up in the phyllosphere or potential flowers, it's still looking. But here, that's one massive advantage. These are all other advantages, but yeah, develops optimum moisture and aeration. Aeration is so important because remember, the roots are the primary source of oxygen for the plant, and the plant requires 45% of its nutrients in oxygen. So by allowing that to happen, you've ticked one of those boxes. Limited root zone. Okay. Fertilizer characteristics. No. Oh, not going to go into this one bit. Where's the chart? This chart, though, is rad. I'll show this because this shows the compatibility chart of different water-soluble fertilizers. So the C means down the bottom, C is compatible, and NC not compatible, and LC is limited. So where you see NC, all the calciums, it's not compatible. So it's going to bind up. So if you were to go put in ammonium sulfate with calcium nitrate, that's limited. NC. If you're going to put on the calcium with the MAP, it's not compatible. So it just makes it all chunky and bind up and thick type stuff. So you just clog everything up. So that was one cool thing I got out of the course. Fertilizer evaluation for suitability. No, okay, no. Fertigation safety. This is for bigger pumps with bigger pressures. Pesticides and chlorine should not be injected in combination with fertilizers. Oh my goodness. Fertilizer tank, that's a hand one. Irrigation, combination, bypass, Venturi. Oh, it's on the screen, sorry. I thought there was something running across the screen. It was that blooming spider again. It's so, wow, I crawled into my USB thing. Okay. Venturi, okay, good. Estimate, no. This is off topic a bit. Fertilizer. Types of filters. Oh, rad. The gravity, sand filter, centrifugal filter, screen filter, disc or ring filter. So why and when do you need them? Well, this is more so for outdoors. Gravity filter. Remember I said a while ago you can put it with rocks or use sand. And that's a gravity filter. So it's like, I wonder if it shows that picture. If you want to get water, it doesn't. If you get water from, is that it there? No, this is the main stream. So if it's really dirty out there, by digging a channel in here, the water will seep into here, filtering it through the banks, and you'll collect the water from in here. So I found that was pretty interesting too. Just good ways to clean your water using the earth. Hydroclone, no. Screen filter, that's one you want to clean all the time. That's like your carbon filters that clog up a bit quicker. Selection. Filter efficientness. Adjustable drips. Schematic diagram of physical system describing moisture transport under the point source emitter. Oh, okay, that's just the wetting pattern. Oh yeah, there's evaporation. It transpires too. Very good. Soil water characteristic curves. This is getting a bit into it too much. Steady stuff. No, emitters. There's a fair bit on emitter design. That's why you just get rid of it. They've put heaps into emitters, but they made theirs with 3D printers, so it would have been cost effective. But if you go to look at buying them, they're not cheap. Discharge. Oh, mate, come on, get to it. Emitter wetting pattern. It's something interesting for you folk would like. Irrigation scheduling. Pretty important. Actually, while we're on the topic of that, yes. How about some moisture meters? Some resistive and capacitive type moisture meters. Where are they? Resistive moisture meters. I'll keep going because it hasn't come to it yet, and I've been through a hang of a lot of slides. Installation of sprinkler systems. No, moisture meters is really important because you want to know what's going on. That was like the lysometer. It's just weighs two. I sat back at the start. Yeah, I'm not going to go. I'm going to go back to the start. But it didn't have it because I went through it. I was looking for something different. Soil indicators. These are all the different ways that you can use them. Soil moisture monitoring using gravimetric, neutron probe, TDR, or soil moisture tension measurement using tensiometer, and porous blocks. Porous blocks are pretty cool. They've got like gypsum in them. Actually, I'll just wait till it comes up to it. They're real professional. Okay. Potential. No. Oh, maybe it's not going to have it. Come on. Routing depth, yeah, we all know about that. How about the measurement? Sweet. Gravimetric. To our tensiometer. You got to buy a thing. Nuclear. Dangerous. Electromagnetic. That's all right. That comes in those, the resistive and the capacitive ones. I use the capacitive. Here's the resistive ones with the gypsum in it, and that's Davis weather stations. Davis agricultural meters has these in them, and you buy the kit for about 800. It's got 4 of them in it that measure your soil moisture. It's just so beneficial because you know what's going on underneath the soil. And then you would usually water every 2 or 3 days. And then you think, oh, wow, it's still at a good level. So you can just put it off for a few days, and especially if you've got a good mulch happening. If the temperature is low, if the wind is low, all that sort of stuff increase the... So by knowing what's going on underneath the ground, these are ones that I find better because, yeah, they're probes. They last about... You can leave them permanently in the soil too, like the other ones. But these probes are real cheap. They're about $3 each. So you just buy 10 probes, and then that's done for you for many, many years. And it comes out, it's a little 12-volt system, and it's on a... Doesn't have it there. That plugs into a meter. That's... You sit there, and it's got a display from numbers from 0 to 100. I've got some of the videos I've gone on about it. Actually, my automatic watering system was built off that, because it's got a relay on the bottom of it where it can activate a solenoid. So when it gets to a certain set level, it'll open the solenoid and therefore releasing water. This system will cost you probably, what are they? I haven't bought them for years, so I've got heaps of them. They're about, I reckon, $30, $20 or $30. Actually, I'll look online for you, because it's a vital tool, like I did before. I'll stop sharing for a sec. I'll put into the, come on. I'll put into the search engine. I'll look up here to see what of those soil moisture meter pro. No, bad example. I'll give it a little bit, because this is pretty important. Find a it's those ones. Oh, really? For Adreno, I clicked on one. I thought, oh, this is from JCAR, because I support JCAR, but it's, there it is there. All right, I'll share back. What? Hang on. Detection module, robot intelligent car sensor blue. Oh my. All right, it failed again. Let me keep trying. I'll just share the screen. It should be probably, I'll explain what I'm looking at here, why they're not very good, some of them. These are good guides, but they don't last long. The electrodes, they corrode. So unless you pull them out and clean them every time, which you won't, I don't, they corrode. So I thought, I'm sick of these bloody things. They're good for guides too. Even these little ones, they're good for a guide, but you can't do maths off them, I suppose, if you want to get that detailed. But these other ones, these resistive blocks and the capacitive ones, you can. Oh. It's down at the bottom. Let me try it again. I'll try it in a see collection. Flare up. Oh no, that's what it would be. I'll try this on the buy place. So I bought them in. I'll see if I can find it. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you instead of wasting more time. I'm going to show you what they look like, and you can go and do it. This is what the probe looks like. So by sitting that permanently in the soil, it's sweet. And I don't use it with Arduino. I use it with, well, you can write your own program, but that's, you know, that's Arduino. It connects to a module, which is a little meter like this, but it's got a display on it. This one doesn't have a display. It's got an output on it. So that's why I thought, oh, far out. But that's a similar thing. So you'll see on your site, it'll look like this, but it'll have a little display, and all the display does, it measures the resistance between it and gives it a number of 0 to 100. And what you do with that number is you'll go, all right, after I've watered, this number will say 95. And when they're starting to wilt, the number says 60. So you'll write that down and go, okay, cool, they're my parameters. So you'll know to work within that. But I've found if you leave it in there too long, it develops air pockets, and because there's things moving around the substrate, air pockets and things develop. So after a while, they aren't as reliable as I first thought, but I still think they're very reliable in flush, because in flush stage and when late bloom, your plant, they're not drinking as much. So you can easily overwater them, and you'll find you won't be going every second day, you might be going every third day from day 40 on. So that's when these moisture meters are very, very helpful for that. Yes, there we go, good. Any other questions? No? What other water stuff can I go through? Water testing. That's kind of what it was today, just reverse osmosis and water testing, wasn't it? And a bit on drip irrigations, types of sensors. Yeah, from knowing what goes in, you can easily know what's going to come out, and it eliminates a lot of things. Electrochemical, it's carbon dioxide sensors. Huh. Air leaf temperature sensor. That's the air leaf. That's a canopy temperature, I'd nearly call that. But they use infrared to do that. It's good to know the canopy temperature and the substrate temperature and your irrigation temperature. Commonly used sensors for automation. So if you want to go full automation, these are some sensors you can do to make it happen. Soil moisture, that's cool. Soil pH, NPK sensor, really? I should look into that. Soil NPK sensor, that'd be flaming interesting ads. JXCT, NPK sensor. NPK sensor. Wow. You're kidding, it's those ones. Those ones. I've been looking for ages to buy these, and they're $200 each. So to do one element, you pay $200. And that's the same. That doesn't do all of them. Actually, does it? It might now. Technology says the cool thing about technology, it's getting better all the time. Leaf surface meter. Oh, moisture meter. That's the other thing you can get with the agricultural weather station. It's got a leaf measuring meter, and it's all it is a moisture meter that sits there, and it pretends to be a leaf with all those sensors across to it. And once they bridge or touch each other, that means they've done the circuit, and it's saying it's wet. Oh yeah, these meters. Okay, very good. They're still about, these meters are about $300 to buy. Can't wait till they come down, just to get examples of when to know, because it's not going to be like, it might say you're 50 kilos per hectare or whatever it's going to say on the screen, but it's good to have a number, and from that number I can therefore know, all right, my nitrogen is going up or it's going down. So you get a bit of a guide, and at different growth stages too, you'll need different elements. So to know that, it's very advantageous. It's very cool. Hey, speaking of cool, there's Yield Source. Hello, Yield Source. How you going, mate? Nice to see you. Popcorn. No, that's what it says for popcorn. Good show, thank you. Yeah, well, today it was on reverse osmosis. I'm glad. Thank you for Sunshine for his suggestion. And then just went a little bit on water quality and filtration and irrigation. Touched on that. Just only briefly touched on it. But there were some cool slides shown, and some reasons why you'd want clean water, I suppose. Yeah. And how to measure it. How to measure your water. So that's the title that I'll be putting all of those things back into today's title to, yeah, give it a title. It's been blimmin' good. 5 minutes till the hour. What else would you like to say? You cool folk listening, have the opportunity to write in the chat right now. What do you reckon? Oh, I think it went all right. Started off slow. It's just like every show. It starts off so slow, and then there's a bit of a topic. Bang, can go and fly. Get into it. Rip in. Look at the latest technology and to see on how to measure it and to make it work in our situation. Yes. So to summarize, the 5-stage reverse osmosis was really good. Right when GMF comes in. G'day, GMF. Good evening to you. I hope you're... We were just discussing reverse osmosis and irrigation and the importance of it, why to have clean irrigation. Didn't really talk about it with plants yet. Plants, they're a bioaccumulator, and all the stuff that you put in will accumulate to different parts in the plant, and it can store it. And especially if you're one of those extraction type folk, you will not want to give it any problems, because you'll be putting into extraction, and with you use chemicals especially, that'll break down the vacuoles and the dermal tissue and all different edioblasts and all different types of cells in the plant that store all these contaminants and can be very harmful and toxic. So yeah, you extraction people, it shows up in your test too. I remember when I lived on Vancouver Island, the extraction folk used to say the low amount of pesticides that were used even in veg used to show up in their extraction samples, or different types of pesticides, systemic ones and things. So yeah, it's not very good. But if you maybe combust, you're burning all those chemicals as well. So yeah, you just have to be careful. Yeah, shipwreck. It's funny when you come in, everyone says g'day, isn't it? Nearly going for the hour. But yeah, I haven't really talked about this. Well, that's the importance of the irrigation, because you know it's going in, so there can be no possible problems in the plant, and it rules that out. That was one thing that put me onto reverse osmosis back in the day. Well, when was that? Actually, I don't know if I can say that. I'm not going to say it. Because of the problems from the tap water, you don't know, has it got a deficiency or a toxicity? Is that because of the water? And it could be. And the pipes that, yeah, what else can I add about? I'm going to go back into, before I get myself into talking too much. Plant bioaccumulation problems. Plant's immune, you activate, you produce more, reactant ROSs. I wonder if it's in this one. Immune responses, molecular assisted microbial patterns. I'm talking about water. See, microbes are rad. I think that's all that's in there. It does say water and water pressure, and what's this flushing bit? It was a flushing experiment. Here's a flushing experiment showing how long it was flushed for. So it's flushed for 4 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 1 week, and not flushed. So you can see the retention of the nutrients. It's quite high. So when you smoke this, you will expect to get a throat hit, a bit of a sore throat, maybe a bit of a head hit, because you're smoking the retained nutrients. And talking about in the tissue too. If you go and zoom into this one here, it doesn't zoom well, but this is a good time to pick when all of the little, sugar leaves you call them, when they're all starting to use all their moisture, when it's using all of their nutrients. So see how it has a nitrogen, overall yellowing, it's nitrogen, and then it could be magnesium, and then it starts to go because that's all it's used. But it's, so yeah, good time to pick them. By flushing with correct water, you know you're going to flush and do the correct thing to the plant. You're going to eliminate all the substrate so that the plant can finish naturally and look like this without being deficient. Because see how this is a lot more chunkier than this, because it's had more growth. Depends on what they see. Depends if they're saying the substrate. And that's a nitrogen deficiency. And if you're lacking one of the 17 essential elements, it's not good. Liebberg's law of the minimum takes effect. Water relation in plants. This goes into a bit of detail. Water and life. That's pretty cool. Flushing aquaporins. Ooh. They're the little cells on the edge of the cell membrane. What are they? On the edge of the cells are these little tiny aquaporins, which allow H2O2, hydrogen peroxide, and it can go in and kill and do its things in there and exchanges, while it's got other little pathways around the cells. It's pretty cool. Water flows in and across and through the membrane. Vacuoles, another storage spot. So yeah, if you're extracting in those bioaccumulates, this is where it goes straight into here and it stores into there. The vacuole's got a lower pH, a pH of about 5, and in cytoplasm out here at 7. So it can store it in there sweetly, and it just sits in there until it's going to break down and go into the ground. So if you're going to extract it, you're going to rupture this wall and get all the bits out of the vacuole, and you're going to get harmful toxins that are going to come in and potentially poison and harm you. And it's supposed to be medicine. So this is one reason why you should use filtration if you don't know what inputs are into your water. Rad example. Plant aquaporins are recognized as multifunctional protein transporting water. Proteins transporting water, as well as gases such as CO2, nutrients such as boron, silicon, and reactive oxygen species, which are bad. The ROS's reactive oxygen species are basically stress. So when stress comes up, they develop, and that's the things that transports it and starts internal killage. Because you don't want oxygen and stuff, all those different types of oxygen things it makes up. I think that's about it. Without boring everyone. Oh, I got that spider. Sorry, spider. Don't need you crawling on me at night. That's it for my slides, unless there's any more questions, I reckon. Well, here we've done the hour. It's been a fair bit of chat. Oh, here's another question. Oh, I missed out on this chat. Even the flower looks better on the right and will be smoother. Well said, mate. Where's that picture? I would prefer that too, to have smoke of that on the right-hand side for that reason. Yes, that's the medicine, and the other side's where is that? Thank you for saying that. Share screen. Yeah, one side's medicine and other side's poison. Fantastic example. Same plant, same result, same genetics, but that's potentially poison and will give you problems, adverse health effects. This won't. Well said, Sunshine. Yeah, look at that. That's harvest. That should be harvested, because what happens within now is that'll go and eat those sugar leaves in here, and it starts and kills off into the plant tissue itself. And you know, when things start to die, fungus likes that, and moisture builds up, and that's where the problems start and germinate. Germinate? Yeah. Well picked up. Oh, GMF's got a question. What do you think about starting to look at water as natural liquid, a nutrient rather than as just a medium for transpiration? Seems to me like we gloss over the role water plays. Thoughts? What do you think about starting to look at water as a natural liquid, a nutrient? Oh, to look at it as a nutrient rather than just a medium. A nutrient? Well, I suppose it could be a nutrient because, well, it's got the molecules in it. It's got 2 oxygen and 1 hydrogen. It's not in the forms that a plant needs, but it can still change it. Water is nutrition, and yeah, what attaches to the water molecule for sure. If you've got like acidic rain, you've got lightning rain that has high nitrogen, nitrate. So yes, I do see that, and I see your thoughts. I reckon it's a good concept. And if it's dirty water, which is high in ppm, what sort of ppm is that high, and what total dissolved solids? That could be heaps of clay. And what's that clay? Oh wow, there's heaps of what's bound up in clay. Your nitrogen's bound, or magnesium's bound up in clay. So yeah, I think, and deionized water is rare. You have to sort of filter it and make it. So otherwise, water has molecules in it which are nutritional elements. I think I tend to agree with you. After putting a bit of thought into it, yes, water, because it's very rare, well, we've got to filter it out. And even rainwater. I remember, what was it, Lake Cowichan was one of the better spots there. That was near about 10 ppm. And then when it used to rain, it got up to about 30 or 40 on Vancouver Island. Yeah, it was pretty good, that. And that used to go up because they're, the reason that the ppm goes up when it rains is because it washes all the surface runoff into the tanks or to the holding reservoirs, the dams or whatever. Because I thought, well, shouldn't it go down? Fresh, clean water is washing, into there, but it's not fresh water because it's washing off it's cleaning the earth, so to speak. So it's sweeping the streets. So all of that runoff goes into the catchments. Can I add some questions to that, GMF, if that sort of I was on the right topic to what you were, if I was picking up what you were putting down. Cheers to all the good peeps. Yes, I agree. Natural liquid nutrient. Natural liquid nutrient. It's a natural liquid nutrient. It is. You'd have to know what the nutrient is, I suppose. Otherwise, it'd be a fertilizer, nearly a feed, because it's accumulation of everything. But I like your topic, though. Thanks, Sunshine. True GMF says, Sunshine, it would be advantageous to water with micro T's and low ppm rather than water at all. Yes, micro T's are fun. It's another thing that's very dirty, and you have to nearly serial dilute. Oh, speaking about that too, I was just making some, I can talk about that, I suppose, some, what do you call it? Actually, no, I'm not going to go in detail, so I haven't finished it. Shipwreck say, good to hear, GMF. Thanks. What? Sunshine, I have bird flu. My brain's not working. Do you really have bird flu, Sunshine? Because I did hear about it starting up in Australia. Fair dinkum, I hope not, because it could be bad. Can't see. Oh no, Fred. Yes, I'll be fine. So it must be bird flu. Jeez, that's no good. Oh, at least you got the right medicine. Right, you got the right medicine. You know what that is? And yeah, GMF didn't reply, so hopefully I've covered his topic. water as a nutrient. Yeah. Depends what the water is classified as. There you go. That's the thing. If it's 0 to 50, it's deionized or reverse osmosis, 50 to 100 spring, and it goes up from there. So I suppose if it falls into the classification of maybe if it's got a few ppm, if it's not deionized, that means it has got ions in it, and they could be elements. So not all water can be seen like that then, because you have got deionized or 0 ppm, water. So I reckon that glad I went up and had a look at that. Yeah, because that was what I was talking about before with the ppm rating, how you can find at your salinity in your substrate too, and you don't want to go into that salinity area of about 3000 ppm, because that's when nutrients get locked out and all sorts of problems arise. Oh, what's an example of that? It's just people that try and they don't use enough water. You want to put, when you feed your pot plant, as an example, you want a little bit of runoff coming out, or you want to know what's going on. And you'll find out if you don't ever have runoff, that the buildup of the nutrients in your substrate might be high and potentially too high, where it's going to give a salinity effect and burn all the leaves and the plant will starve. It'll starve, it needs nutrients, and you can't give it to it because they're all locked out. Righto, chat's not moving. I think this has been good enough where I can retitle today's show. What do you reckon? I reckon it's good. A water show, fantastic. Water, why so clean? Oh, hang on. GMF said something. I knew you would feel, oh yeah, good. Just thinking if we teach that to newbies, we can get them to focus more on plant health and basics rather than buying the next super nutrient at the grow shop. Oh, wow, yes. The only thing that should be really bought at the grow shop is beneficial nutrients, and maybe if you have to go use lights, yeah, LEDs or stuff like that. And plants, your pots and all sorts of other hardware. But that's about the only, as for nutrients and bios and all that sort of stuff, pesticides and making for plant growth and development, I think it should only be that, because organics is the go. You can get a better outcome from a secondary metabolite profile with organics. Your yield might be a smidgen lower, but you can get a better outcome, and sustainability, which is important these days. Far out. Yeah, so your poor hydro shops, they're going to sell you stuff that that will work, but they've got to make money. So they're a salesman. And to ask them to go into detail, why I should really go into hardcore detail, and they don't know. Because it's just sales gimmick. It's a sales technique. So anyway, that's the organics versus synthetics. I'm not going to go down that route. But yeah, water is everything. It's one of the first things to nearly start with, because you've got to know what is in your water, because that's what's going into the plant. It's like with giving it, you treat them as your babies, like a baby. Would you go and give a baby tap water or just normal stuff? You'd think about that first before giving it to your own baby. So it's the same thing. You've got to get set up in a way where you know what's going on at the start to eliminate future problems. It could be all sorts of pathogens that are going to collate at the wrong time, that you're going to feed it at the wrong time, that it's going to sit there and get too wet, and they're going to proliferate at the wrong time. Bang, in trouble. And it's terrible. It's all no good. Preach it. Yes. Hey, shit break. Good stuff. I think we could add, I wish I could add something to this, but drawing a blank right now. Oh, that's all right, mate. I appreciate your words. Mace. He's a cool bloke there. It's all up in the place. Yeah, man. Preach it, brother. Preach it. Yes. It's plant health. The plant being the bioaccumulator. The plant being the bioaccumulator it is, it's going to suck up whatever you give it. or try to. So by you knowing what you're giving it, you've half won the battle. Then you just got to put the plant in its right conditions to bring out its genetic potential, and holy mackerel, you'd be rewarded. So putting in that little bit of extra love goes a fair way. Yeah, the water, even drinking Giardia and what else comes out from the stream, not Clostridium. I've had a few stomach bugs. They are common in the Yukon. Giardia. A lot of the water is from, it's not lake fed, it's lake fed. So there's a chance that that stuff can build up in the low areas, and it's horrible. It's just stomach poisoning. You get sick for 48 hours where you eat and, yeah, you just get sick. So by eliminating those things, it's fantastic. Your plant's won. And you've won too, because you can drink the same stuff. While you're making your reverse osmosis water, it's all good for you too. And test it with your ppm. And from time to time, I still test my water all the time. Probably it's just out of a habit, at least once every couple of weeks. I just always like to test to see what's going on, if anything's changed. It's nice to use deionized water. Yeah, it's really good. Lene said, had influenza, bird flu, when I was 23. Worst I ever had. The last time I had flu, never had a flu shot. You'll be fine, sunshine. Very good. Yes, organic. GMF says organics for the win, peeps. Oh, it's more labor intensive, but it's so rewarding down the track. I always go on about that too. It's just blimmin' win-win. And to get free fertilizer and then to get bio-fertilizer out of it, what your microbes that are in your fertilizer will work for you. Wow. And then what, to buy biofertilizers and inoculate, and then those microbes will multiply in your substrates and in your compost and in your mulch piles and all sorts, in your vermicastings piles, worm bins. It's so rad. Yep, organics is just a win. You build the soil, you keep building it. Like green bicycles, build the soil. It's so true. Never ever poison it. Never ever put anything bad into it that's going to fats and oils, that's all that sort of stuff. Yeah, it's terrific. You know, I'm off the topic. I want to stay on the bit of the water topic. Organics is rad. Genetic Memory Farm says, I will argue that like cooking, it is just prep work. It is actually less work at the moment. Yes, in the Raptor, g'day mate. What's Raptor say? There's some labour. Yes, but you'll get to stack your functions of each output. Yes, nice to see you, Raptor too. Hope you're doing well, mate. Yes, it's actually less work at the moment. Yeah, if you, after a while in building up your substrate and then reusing it and then letting things break down and nutrient cycle the way it should, going into its thermophilic range to knock out all the pathogens, you know, above 65 Celsius, or it's 180 or something F, for a duration to knock everything out, kill the seed and pathogens. It's pretty cool. And then to reuse it. And even with his thing, even fire, by using fire, it depends the different temperatures that you get fire at. To like nitrogen burns off at 200 Celsius, calcium's 1200 Celsius. So if you can keep a low smoldering fire, you're actually condensing all your nutrients. So instead of vaporizing all of them off, you can retain all of them as well. That's pretty cool. But yeah, organics, it's very hard at the start for the first few years even, and then it just gets easier and easier. The longer you've been doing it, the easier it is. And GMF there, he's been doing it for quite a few years now, so he finds it's actually less work. Well, he's finding it less work at the moment, so he must be in a good phase. So it's fantastic. Free fertilizer that's way better than any bought stuff. It was cool. Wrapped us into his organic sometimes too, I know. Yeah. Nice to see you, mate. I'm still into salts. That's all right. There's heaps of different ways to grow. And as long as you get your outcome, you can still use salts, but it's your experienced growership, Brett. So you know how to flush it properly to eliminate all those salt content, so you're still getting the perfectly smooth medicinal outcome. And that's when you have to majorly concentrate on flushing to eliminate that, to get those flushing photos before. But for the focus organics, they still retain all the nutrients, and you still want to get that outcome, but it's not to do with the water more so, cycling water through the substrate. It's more to do with letting the plant finish itself so it can eat itself. So it looks like that in the end. That's how I found the difference. But yeah, it's good that you're actually creating your own medicine. So I only support organics because it's a more cheaper and sustainable way. And that's my route, and that's why I've been taught with my education. There's nothing stopping synthetic grows. I've done synthetic grows, they're rad. And blokes like you still get good results out of them, but yeah, whatever works for you. Cheers. Oh yeah, for sure. Yes. Right. That was pretty good. How do you use folk like the later time that I'm starting? I thought I'd start a little bit later, half an hour late, just to let a few more people come in, because it seems to be after I get going in the show for about 30 or 40 minutes, people rock up then. So I'm not quite sure when to start the stream. I think I'm going to go with this for the next few weeks. I've already put the next week's shows up, so they're ready at that certain time slot. Yeah, so I just wanted to know your thoughts on that too. If it's going all right, if it suits the viewers, you cool folk who are listening out there. GMF says the advantage he found was when he had to go to the hospital for a while, the plants could take care of themselves. Yes. Just needed a little water, but they grew themselves. Yes. Organics is forgiving. The buffer zone is humongous with that. That was one of the things I liked too, mate, because I did start out with synthetics and then went to organics, and all of a sudden it was just a lot smoother, and deficiencies showed their head, but a lot slower than hydroponics and aeroponics. I liked it. So, and then after learning about how microbes are the root cause with nutrient cycling, I thought, well, why not try and build more microbes in the soil? It's hard with hydroponics and aeroponics. Living soil. Okay, that's what it's for. Cool. And then learning what individual microbes do, and if they're symbiotic, is the next level. And look, I'm going into microbes again. I talk about that for the last two shows. They're rad. I love organics. Yeah. And it is to do with a lot of microbe stuff down at the finite level, what they're cycling. The NIF gene and the NOD gene, that's the nitrogen fixing genes. I want to make sure they're turned on so they can fix atmospheric nitrogen for free. Pretty cool as. But that was the last few weeks' shows. For those who haven't listened, my courses this semester is Advanced Microbiology, where it's to do with those different nitrogen-fixing bacteria and phosphate solubilizing bacteria on how to use them. And then my other microbe course I'm taking this semester is on how to manipulate environments with microbes. So if you want more oxygen, more nitrogen, more water, more this and that, you can use. So that's going to be blooming excellent. So a few prerequisites to doing those courses, but I've done the prerequisites. So it's yeah, it's pretty cool. Can't wait. Share all that new stuff with you. Good on you, Raptor. Hope to see you again, mate. He's one of the better folks out there. He loves his mushrooms, yes. Haven't talked about that for a while. That's probably why I haven't seen you. That's probably what it is. He says, have you done a talk on fish hydrolysate? No, but that's awesome. That's another organic input that's a must. And to be honest, I haven't really played around with much of that. That's one thing that I lack in my program. That's got all sorts, depends where you source it from. It's got all sorts of hormones in there too, which are beneficial, let alone just the enzymes. It's pretty cool. Oh, and the mineral content, the macros and micronutrients. But yeah, that's really cool. That's similar to blue-green, not the algae. What's the long green stuff? It's green in southern hemisphere and brown in the kelp. That's similar to the kelp meal or kelp foliar spray, kelp liquid. You don't get the stuff, and I tell you what, for those people in Australia, don't get the sea salt stuff. It's so diluted, it's not funny. Amazingly, I was just playing around with the formulas before this to make my own liquid kelp meal, so I could foliar spray it and put 2 or 3 mils in, per litre, because they want $60 a litre, and I did it. I really, truly, the first experiment I did, it worked out with a perfect 5,000 parts per million, 5.3 parts per million. So I'm in the middle actually of making the video of that. I pressed pause to do this show, and I'm going to go back and finish it. And it's, yeah, just another thing I made. Actually, I haven't told you about that. But yeah, to make your own, it's phenomenally cheaper than at the shops. And what goes into it. So it's pretty cool. Oh, there's a few things getting out of here. Shipwreck says, I used to use the hell out of that stuff, fish hydrolysate. Yeah. I can see some smell things below. Yes, it's stinky. Amazing for small pots, feeds the fungi. Ah, there you go. See, it's the fungi. You've got to look after your bacteria and your fungi. They're a part of the microbes. Well done, Raptor. So it must be, I haven't done much fungi studies, so it must be one of the mineral requirements for fungi is fish hydrolysate. Well, you're thinking, I like that sort of thinking. Shipwreck says, smells like hell, but does the plants ever love it? Yeah. Stink in, stink out. Ah, ha, ha, ha. Nice one. Nice one, Raptor. Yes. And, yeah, make your own, mate. I don't even know. All I'll talk about is my kelp meal. That's working really well. The dilution rate, I'll just wait till I do with the video, but it's really cool. Other ones I've made is your B vitamins, for instance. You might see that at the hydro store. You can go and buy a half a litre of B vitamins in concentrate form because it's for human health. It's called thiamine. And then you'll find, you look on the back of your packets, and one of the ones I used to use, believe it or not, it was 0.25% was the nutrient rating of B vitamin in there. So I thought, I'll double mine. I'll make a litre up at 0.5%. It stinks heaps strong. And I got now a litre of 0.5, and I think instead of costing $35 a litre, it was, I haven't even worked out the money value. It'd be under $1. So it's fantastic, and that's organic, and that's good for B vitamins, especially thiamine is good for microbes. Bacteria love it. It's in their metabolism. It helps with their growth and development. It's pretty cool for them to produce ATP. Another thing I made was humus. I got some humic and crushed it down and diluted it and did the same thing and made it into a litre. And now I only have to drop, I did a concentrate again, so I only have to add 1 or 2 drops if I'm putting into foliar spray. It's so beneficial. So yeah, you can make all this stuff at 99% cheaper than they've made it, and it's still organics. It's not bound up. Anyway, that'll do. It's a water show. Raptor says, if you have access to fish or shellfish, you can make hydrolysate with papain, which is a protease enzyme from papaya. Ah, well done, Raptor. See, he's into it. Nice suggestion. I like those suggestions because we all got to do it cheaper, and the amount of money that we can save is excellent. And most of the time, the cheaper way is more beneficial. There's not all processing gels or different fats and oils that are sometimes included in the batches, because they'll have passing ratios like they do with your licensed producers, how they can zap their flour, and it's got to be under 2%, I think. But it's still, if it's over 5%, comes back, and they can put it in their big irradiating machine, and then it'll zap and pull it down to be passable levels. It's yeah, better. That wasn't the word I was looking for. A little bit off topic, but yeah, I like your suggestion, Raptor. Good on you, mate. Saying how to make it ourselves, then we know exactly what's going in it. That's the best bit. So yeah, I wouldn't mind trying out doing something like that, because it is something that's come up all through my organic farming courses, and is the fish hydrolysate, and that's something that I've never had in my, especially for the good enzymes. Enzymes are so beneficial because they are maybe a precursor to breaking molecules down to give other things. So and having fish hydrolysate, you win the battle. You have to buy, store enzymes. Good stuff. Well, I think that's about all. Quickly type stuff in, because it's an hour and a half. That was a pretty good show, I reckon. Maybe talk about nutrients next show. We can go a bit more into detail on nutrient cycling. I haven't talked about that for a while, but that's microbes again. Maybe I can stay out of the nutrient cycling with microbes. But it's hard because they basically break it down, or unless you're feeding them synthetic chemicals. They're the two examples. Mineralized, or what's the other one? If it's mineralized, the mineral is bound up in that particular, say, microbe, or opposite of that is mineralized. Come two ways. If it's bound up, what's the other? Anyway, I can't think of it. Just drag it on. I appreciate everybody for listening. I appreciate everyone's chat, and there's some really cool people in chat today. Really, it's nice to have that folk around each week. All the cool folk that rocked up. Thanks again. Yeah, giving me your ears. Bring some cool topics next week that we can discuss, and I'll show more slides, and yeah, we can discuss it more and have some good fun again. Appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. I hope you have a fantastic week. So happy breeding, happy growing, and good health to you all. Bye-bye.